in AEW have done 4 beach towels, and they've chosen the megastar of like CM Punk and Sting and Britt Baker, and then the 4th person is obviously Danhausen.
Imp,
Oh,
we're live. Yes,
oh, we're live, pal.
we're live. we have
Amazing.
live video. I think this is working.
Oh, good eye. Amazing. Although now I enter silence. That worries me.
So, I'm just going to tweet out the link, and then we'll wait just a little bit, and then we'll go.
All right, okay. I heard silence for a second. I was like, oh, wait, no, his laptop's not conked, has it?
No, it's going all good.
Oh, Ooh. It seems lagging, but actually working.
Yes,
like,
something like that.
Why did I minimize the chat? Well done, sir.
I don't think my computer's loving life, but we'll survive.
Let's do it.
Okay. Man, what a story! What a journey to get here, Imp. What a journey! What a
journey! That's just, who knows what the quality will be.
Oh my
We're just
goodness!
happy to
I
actually
have
be
no
live.
idea. I'm pretty confident the quality is going to be terrible, but we'll The real quality is the friends that we made along the way, right? Okay, I'm just closing everything on my computer except for the streaming stuff, and
Oh, no.
we'll go.
Then
we'll go live. Okay. Oh, are you ready, Imp?
I mean, yeah, I will say as well. I've got video, as in it's like properly streaming.
Yeah, it seems to be working,
Yeah.
as far as I know, and I'm guessing audio is coming through. So, let's fingers crossed. Let's actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I might just jump in the chat and just say, hey, anyone who's in there, please tell us if we're actually coming through, that we're actually working.
It seems to be like stuttering and stopping, but
Yep.
Actually, is my internet fine?
No, I'm
Just check
confident that any problems you have are my internet.
I'll just play a Man with a Mission song. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's yeah, look, it seems to be working somewhat in my. I mean, the main thing is that it's going to be just slides.
Oh, the recording will be
yeah.
there.
I might go when we do the matches. I might just go to your little cartoon picture, maybe. Instead of the, just because hopefully that'll help sort things out. Anyway, if you can see us, tell us if you can hear us. Okay.
I mean, I can hear it. I can hear it when it's actually buffering.
Okay.
When it's not buffering.
Okay. Well,
I can hear
we'll see how we go. Let's as I said, worst comes to worst, we've got the podcast version that'll go out at some point. So at first swig of whiskey. Well earned. Okay.
Well earned, Sam. Well earned.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's go live. Hello and welcome to the AEW Match Guide Double or Nothing preview. I'm your host, Sam Brown. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you are joining us live, thank you for sticking around. It has been a very interesting last half an hour or so. Has accidentally cancelled the one live broadcast that I'd set up.
That worked.
Oh, and then proceeded to set up 3 or 4 more ones, tweet them all out, and failed dismally at launching them all. But we're here. We made it, Imp. Like AEW getting through the pandemic. We've got there. We've done it. And you know what? I'm going to give you a cheers, and I'm going to take my swig of whiskey, which I feel like is well earned. But
got my pint of water.
What a terrible host I would be if I didn't introduce you. My friends, I am joined by my partner in crime, Matt Maher, a.k.a. That Damn Implicate, from Wrestling Headlines. A writer, a podcaster, a raconteur, a Renaissance man. Thank you for joining me, Imp. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I don't know if I would have got through the last half hour if it wasn't for you.
I mean, you were there for my first stream off of my current setup, where it was 20, 30 minutes of good. Stop! Damn it! Bear with me, Sam. So, yeah, it's only fair that I'm here for your.
Look, I feel like I was a lot more relaxed when you were going through all of that. And you were a lot more relaxed while I was going through all that. So I'd completely forgotten you ever had problems with your stream. So I'm the first person ever to have these issues. But look, if you are joining us live, let us know in the chat if you can hear us, if you can see us. Who knows what my internet and laptop are doing? Australian internet is... well, look, it's patchy at best, let's say that, and my laptop is a bit of an old beast at this point. It's probably coming up to about 5 years old, so, you know, it's not exactly living in its heyday. But, you know, it seems to be handling everything. It's handled this stuff before, and as I said to Imp before we went live, if worst comes to worst, we've always got the podcast, which will come out on Friday, so... Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah. But look, as I said at the start, we're here to preview Double or Nothing, which is happening this Sunday. Very exciting, one of AEW's 4 pay-per-views for the year. And, you know, both of us are really pumped for this to come through. But before we get into the preview for it, I did just want to note a couple of things. Firstly, thank you to the Social Suplex Podcast Network for hosting this podcast. Jeremy Donovan, the boss and king over there, is an absolute legend, and I really appreciate that I'm on the network, and make sure you check out all of the other great shows. We've got One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, Great Match Generator, Grave Consequences Podcast, our brother podcast, All About All Elite. That's the one that does the up-to-date weekly show on AEW on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, and there's a new one as well called Meet the Press Slam, where one of the blokes who's part of the network talks to members of the media, which is kind of cool. So make sure you check out all of the other great shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, and if you like what we do, you can rate and review us on your podcast app of choice, or hit like and subscribe on my YouTube stream. That would probably be good as well. Apparently that will help people find it. And if you really like what we do, you can provide a donation through Red Circle. If you search Red Circle AEW Match Guide, or if you go to the podcast notes, you can find a link where you can support the show that way. Imp, where can people find you before we get into the actual match guide and the previews?
Well, you can find me over on Twitter at the Damn Implicat. That's damn as in damn. And you can find me over on Wrestling Headlines YouTube, where I'll be live after Double or Nothing with Wrestling Headlines Aftershock. and also my columns over on Listing Headlines as well. I'm planning on getting my weekly review of the week of TV wrestling. We are posting on like a Saturday or Sunday, which I was doing routinely before the pandemic, and then COVID destroyed everything. I'm trying to get back on track with that. So that's where you can find.
Yep, it used to be something of a workhorse, but I don't know. Most of us lost our social life during the pandemic. Apparently, you found it.
Oh,
so
yeah. I wasn't social life. It was, just the time available to be able to do that amount, create that amount of content, just like vanished.
It does that. It does that. But just for the listeners of the podcast as well, I should mention, we are currently in the process of getting votes in for the next definitive AEW match guide list. Of course, the podcast was based on the original list that I launched after Double or Nothing last year to count down the best matches from the first 2 years of AEW, and the next list will be looking at the best matches from between the two Double or Nothings. So Double or Nothing 2021 to this Double or Nothing that's happening this weekend. So that's very exciting. I really loved getting so many voices into that list. So if you are interested in being involved, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Sir_Samuel, or you can email me sambrownmedia@gmail.com if you'd like to put your votes in for that. And after this podcast, the podcast will actually go on a bit of a brief hiatus before we launch back again. Once the new match guide list comes out, we'll kicking it off with a show talking about the list and announcing the top 10 matches. And then we'll also have a match that will be to kick. The first match we'll be deep diving into will be the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, the winner of the original definitive match guide list, the one that ranked in number 1 when we ranked the matches for the first 2 years of AEW, and I'll be doing that with Rich Latter. So even though we'll be on a brief hiatus, make sure you stay subscribed, and very soon there'll be a new podcast feed in there and a whole new season of the show deep diving into all of the new matches and some of the ones that we haven't jumped into from the first list as well. But that's all we've got to talk about in relation to the podcast, Imp. Let's get into the show. Let's get into the preview for Double or Nothing. And I'll kick us off with a question that we received from one of the fantastic listeners, Connor Doherty. It looks a bit like it's kind of Irish or something. I think you could probably do it a bit of justice.
Connor Doherty.
Yeah, there we go. That's how you do it. How does your excitement level for this year's show stack up with the previous Double or Nothings?
I mean, last year's was the return to a crowd properly after the pandemic. So in terms of excitement, obviously last year was off the charts. I was so excited to finally be out of the pandemic era. And obviously we weren't. It was just the one show. But at that period of time, that night felt so special. I mean, because I was really annoyed that I wasn't able to cover Double or Nothing last year, and I am this year. So I've got different types of excitement. So I was watching it like the next day, and I was like, oh my God, crowds are back. Oh, this is amazing. It was, for me, it was a really massive deal for a completely different reason.
Yeah, this is almost like the first normal Double or Nothing. In that, like, the very first Double or Nothing, of course, is the very first show. Oh my God, what's going on here? My cat, get over here. Get in the photo, Darcy. This is my cat, my troublemaker, Darcy, and if things go really off the rails, it's definitely his fault. But this is probably the very first normal Double or Nothing. Like, the very first one was the first show, of course. So that's, a weird thing in its own right. And it was kind of odd I was super excited for it, obviously, because I'd followed these guys through New Japan, Ring of Honor, particularly was a big fan of them on Being the Elite and All In. So that was a big deal. The second one was like the pandemic pay-per-view, the first pandemic pay-per-view. So it was kind of like, oh, I was a bit nervous for it because I was like, oh, what are they going to do here? Like, and they blew the root, like they killed it. But it wasn't necessarily a given that was going to be a slam dunk. And then last year, as you said, was the return of crowds. So it was kind of, just special in that way. And they really they almost didn't need to build anything for that. They kind of just needed to send the fans home happy, and give them a lot of good matches, and it was going to be smashing it anyway because it was the return of crowds. So this is kind of like the first normal one, and I'm kind of excited for it. It hasn't been, I'd say, their greatest build to a pay-per-view. Like, if I reflect on the last few pay-per-views, All Out, Full Gear, and Revolution, I'm probably a bit down on it compared to those ones. But I'm still excited. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Like, I'm a little bit down on it compared to the most recent set of pay-per-views, but, you know, it's an AEW pay-per-view, so it's still gonna be great.
Oh, I'm definitely with you that it's not been the best build. Like, I'm still looking forward to it. The matches look solid. Again, as like Rich Lasser was saying, like after the show airs, people will be getting their receipts. Like, it's going to be a solid show.
Yeah,
no question.
Yep.
But it doesn't. It's not. I guess like story wise and character wise, it's not pulled me in like the past couple of Double or Nothings. Even the pandemic one, that seemed like an absolute strength going in. And last year's as well, there were so many highs on that show. And I feel like this year it's not quite the same. I don't have that same level of kind of character and story investment for some of the stuff. But there's still a lot of solid stuff on. Like, as soon as I say that, like, how could you be saying that with a card with MJF Wardlow on it? Like, it's still there. It's just I don't feel it throughout the entire card. Like, I kind of feel like I have for past Double or Nothings.
It's the One Nation Radio boys on Tuesday. They made a great point that this time of year has always been a bit of a funny one for AEW, particularly like last, because they were against. It's when the basketball finals are on in America, and I know, like, you're in the UK, I'm in Australia, so we know these things are happening, but we're not wrapped up in them. But they are pretty all-encompassing by all accounts, and I think AEW they're not exactly, like, shooting the lights out on a weekly basis. They're kind of holding their cards a little bit close to their chest because they know that there's another thing that's going to be capturing lots of people's attention, and... Yeah, it makes sense. What they're doing makes sense. And I think you can feel that. As I said, like an AEW pay-per-view, it's always going to be fun. So, what do you say we get into the matches, Imp?
Oh, this is going to take us so long. There's so many matches.
It really is. It really is. Anyway, let's start. We've got the first one we're going to talk about. Hangman Adam Page versus CM Punk for the AEW World Championship. I'm kind of going to go down these in sort of a descending order of importance in some ways. But we're definitely going to do the title matches first. And we've got a question straight away for this one from Hackendori, at Hackendori on Twitter. How do you feel the build has been for Hangman Punk? What is Hangman's problem with Punk? Tell me, what's the Hangman? What's the Hangman think of Punk? Why does he hate him so much?
It feels more little subtle things. Like, reading into it, that Hangman finds the way that Punk is acting to be somewhat fake when the Hangman character is so genuine. And I feel like it's lots of little subtle things built on that idea. There's no blatant thing you could put on a match card or anything like that. Like, hates bagels, loves donuts. He's the opposite. It's nothing like that. It's like I know that's an absurd example, but there's nothing blatant there that you can just put on a thing to show their contradictions. But there is a sense of Hangman's kind of genuineness in his character that he sees through Punk BS and sees him for the man he actually is. And he's just like, why are you being fake with this? Which I feel like that's a main kind of building point. He kind of hatred, maybe internally, he's kind of built from there. No matter if Punk is actually genuine or not, Hangman perceives that he's seeing BS. Yeah. And I like AEW for that. When I say they're like more adult storytelling, I mean crap like this, where it's a lot of kind of subtle character stuff, which you can understand, but there's nothing blatant there. So I can also understand people like, what's the problem, man? Because they can't see.
It's weird. I kind of felt like like this promo this week by Hangman, it was very passionate, very energetic. I really liked it initially, but then I started thinking about it. I was like, the things he's saying, it's like he's talking about a promo that CM Punk never actually cut. Like talking about how he's going to defend AEW from Punk, and CM Punk's been nothing but respectful to him. And there's just like, I don't know, there's like this kind of weird disconnect. But then I've heard this, and this is not an original theory by myself, but there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about how like this kind of feeds into Hangman's insecurities, and he's putting up like a false front of bravado, which would, I guess, really fit with how things were going, and how he's been so aggressive towards Punk, almost seemingly unprovoked, because he's actually a bit intimidated, particularly by Punk's popularity, and so he's putting up a false front of aggression, which is I guess, coming across as this like really aggressive, and really he's really attacking CM Punk as a way to sort of hide his own insecurities and lack of belief in himself when faced by someone who's so obviously popular, and beloved by the AEW crowd. But that said, that's really something that has not been spoken about at all on commentary. It's something that's been implied by people who, I guess, read deeply into the story.
Yeah, I could see that. It's the thing that AEW does, because they have characters be true to their traits. When someone starts acting not quite in line with the trait, you're like, oh, you believe that they're doing it for a reason, and it kind of sticks out a little bit. So you kind of sense, why is he doing that? And there's also, I saw other people also read into it that CM Punk has successfully gotten into Hangman's head, which was the whole kind of story with Hangman delivering the punch. I say people, I've realised it was Excalibur and JR saying it on commentary.
Yeah.
No, I was like, oh wait, no, this is not implied. They outright said it on the show. That part of his aggression is because CM Punk has gotten into his head, and maybe it is a false bravado tied in with that as well. It's just CM Punk is there. He's got him, as in he's a champion trying to act with that bravado, with that confidence. But he's in his head, and he's played properly into that. And maybe that's how he loses the title. Not with the physical toughness that Hangman shows, but more the mental strength that CM Punk shows. Or this is purely just showing his Hangman's character growth, that he can overcome the mental game. Yeah, which CM Punk brings. Is that I'm happy with scenarios.
Well, you brought up just then that Hangman may lose the title. I feel like this is almost the first title program since maybe like Cody versus Jericho, back in 2019, where the question, it's really up in the air as in terms of who's going to win this. And we've got a question about that from Rambone Slampig on Twitter. Do you think Hangman is dropping the belt? If so, how do you rate his relative reign compared to the? I guess firstly, I'm just curious who do you think wins this, because it really is up in the air and it really isn't certain who's going to win.
I think me and you've had a slight conversation about this when we saw the betting odds coming out, and there's that little joke of, I mean, it feels like Hangman's winning, right? Should just put safe money on this. But it was just that thing. As good enough job to at least convince me there is a story route they can take for CM Punk, because I feel like that's the correct way to kind of convince me. Don't have the guys come out and cut a promo saying, "No, I will win. No, I will win." Like, no. Like, show me there could be a story route out of it. It's what New Japan was so good with, especially with the Naito Okada one, where you just like, yeah, either route is fine with me. And I feel like they've done that here, where they've set up a genuine route for Hangman to lose and for Punk to win, and vice versa. I am fine with either route. Personally, I still think Hangman, purely because of how AEW have treated its champions so far. However, because so often you see it's the correct business idea to have CM Punk on top because he's your biggest guy. And I'm just like, is that still the wrestling business WWE lens still on, as in it's not won away yet? Is it that mindset of no matter what your plans were, you can just throw the title onto the most popular guy in that moment, no matter what story you're telling. Just that's the business decision to do. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, but it feels like this is the first time in a while they've put in that work where I could see it happening, and it not feeling WWE. As in, it doesn't feel like. I guess when Goldberg came back to face Drew McIntyre, and it came to my head because he brought the example of getting angry over something the guy didn't actually say, where Goldberg came out and addressed Drew McIntyre and did a whole riff of a promo, but maybe the timing was off or something, because Drew McIntyre never said any of the words that Goldberg was scripted to say. So it was really weird. Really strange. Like, he's sticking to the script no matter what, but it didn't say any of the things. Yeah. So it makes no sense. But like, they, it's always in your head that they could put the title on Goldberg type of thing, because they did it just on a whim. He's the champion now. It's like, okay, cool. Didn't matter the stories you were building around it. But AEW aren't that. They don't do that. They don't ship the title over for whatever reason. They will stick to their plan, to their gut. And I kind of feel like that trust that's been built, either now is the perfect time to use that trust against us, or Hangman is keeping the title because that's how they tell stories.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine with either.
Yeah, well, like, the AEW Championship has been, like, the most meticulously booked title in the world, really, at the moment. Like, even more than the IWGP at this point, I think. Like, the way they've just so meticulously booked it and a plan for it and executed it so well. But it's clear as well that, like, AEW is getting the juice out of Punk now. You had those big debuts back around All Out. Of course, Punk slightly before it, then Danielson and Adam Cole. They've really got their juice out of Punk. Like, they're really running with him first. Of course, Cole has been pretty well featured, as has Danielson. But Punk has had the biggest program so far. He's had a lot of hype around him. He is probably I imagine if you were tracking these things, I think he'd be like the wrestler who's had the most time on screen since All Out. And he's very popular with the crowd as well. So it is, like, that's the thing that makes me question. I personally think, like, to put it out there, I actually put money on Adam Page to win. I put $10 down. I got odds. I did, yeah, odds. I got odds of double 2-1. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go double or nothing. Let's bet on predetermined results. This is definitely the wisest thing I've ever done. But I think, and I want Hangman to win. I think this title reign has been incredible. I think he is in such incredible form. Like, I don't think you could put maybe Will Ospreay is like the one wrestler out there at the moment who you could say is in as hot form as Hangman Adam Page this year. And even, going back into last year. He is just in absolutely incredible form in the ring. And you saw that last week with his match against Konosuke Takeshita. Just the way those two ran the ropes. Like, they're two guys who are just in their athletic prime. And I want to see more of Hangman as champion. And just this fighting, aggressive, incredible working champion that he is doing. And maybe that's more matches with CM Punk down the line, because they've certainly made this personal. And if Hangman does in fact win, Punk could say, hey, you made this personal for yourself, now it's personal for me. And there could be more, there could be a good rematch down there. So my prediction is Hangman, as much because I want it as because I think it will happen. I do think he should be slight favourite. That's one of the reasons I did put money down, because I saw that he was an outsider, and I was like, I don't think these Aussies know what they're talking about with their AEW odds. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get double. Maybe I'll get nothing. Who knows? That's the pay-per-view.
You want him to win both because of character and story and financial reasons.
Yes.
Like, you got money on this. Yeah.
I did want some. I had one time I was talking to a friend who loves a bet. He loves a punt, and he was saying, I always put money on the team that I don't want to win, so then that way I'm happy, because the team I want to win wins, or I win money because the team I didn't want to win wins. And I was like, man, why would you do that? Like, why would you kill your excitement? Like, and because you don't get true excitement unless you have the fear of loss. So I'm hoping to get double excitement when Hangman hits the buckshot on Punk and takes him through the Thresher's yard. And let's get on to that. Brings us to Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's Championship. Obviously, there's been a little bit less fanfare around the build. There's been talk on social media about it hasn't been hitting for everyone. How have you found the build to this match?
I think that's the best. I feel like I've nailed that. I don't need. For me, it's I don't know. I wanted it to be better.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Is that the best way? Yeah. I feel like I want to like it. When Thunder Rosa comes out, I want to like her promos, but I very quickly tune out. Like I don't know what it is. Content-wise, delivery-wise, production, I think. It's just the delivery of it is probably a big message, but it's not hitting for me, which sucks because everything before the feud happened hit. Like the build for both of them nailed it, and then this one, I was like, want it to be better.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It kind of sucks.
I'd say that's probably been the main take. Personally, I've actually enjoyed it. I particularly liked Deeb's promo last week, which a lot of people didn't like. They thought it because she was a bit shaky and she kind of stumbled on her words a little bit, but I felt like I really got the emotion from that promo of her frustration and her anger, and her stumbling over her words for me just felt pretty real, because if you are angry and passionate, it is easy to get flustered and sort of stumble over your words, which is, I guess, to be fair, like that's not something you want to have happen regularly in pro wrestling, but for me it added to the meaning in the promo, and I am giving it an easy look, and I understand people saying that it didn't really hit for them, so I think that's fair enough. These guys, I think, though, like once they get in the ring, they will have an excellent match. They've had excellent matches before, and as long as they get the time, I think these guys will knock it out of the park once they get in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It's one of those things what I was talking about at the start, where I was just talking about not being the best build, but the card will deliver. This is a key example of that. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to kill it. It's just I'm not super invested character or story-wise, but I am really invested wrestling nerd-wise. Like, this is going to be amazing.
Yep.
Just, yeah.
Who do you think's going to win?
So, I feel like this is just a strong defense for Rosa. But because I've been reading into, is there a reason that she's just not wrestled since the Baker match? Or no, Nyla match, sorry, since the Nyla Rose defense. I was just like, are they doing like they did Danielson this week, just didn't put him in a match just to protect him? No, I've just remembered Danielson's wrestling on Rampage, so that's BS.
Yeah, he faked that. He faked that leg injury.
Yeah.
That's a work.
Damn you,
that's definitely a work.
Yeah. See, that is an actual work. Cough, Sasha, Naomi, people. What is it? What happened to your worldview?
This is an AEW podcast.
This is just life. Yeah. Sorry, it got me. I messaged Sam yesterday saying, I need to get the column out. I need to get my Sasha Naomi words. I need to friend. But anyway, yeah, I feel like, so for me, Rose has not wrestled since the Nyla match, and that could be hinting at maybe not 100%, or it's just purely protecting and making sure she is good for Double or Nothing. She's the big person to build the division around, as currently it feels like they're heating up the division outside of the title, which was needed, but at the same time, the actual champion herself feels a bit cooled. So you can heat her up after Double or Nothing with the hot contender. It's just that they're not at that point yet. So the division itself feels a bit lukewarm when they are doing the process of heating it up. It's just they've done this before with women's division where they heated it up and then for some reason just decided to not. It's like, oh, okay.
A similar thing.
So I hope
they did the TBS Championship title, like the tournament for that. The women's title sort of took a back seat for a little while, and that I feel like that has happened, but I suspect a bit more strongly that Rosa is injured because they haven't mentioned it at all. So I think they're trying to hide it, and she's been very heavily strapped the last time she's been in the ring, and hasn't looked like she's been moving particularly well. And typically at the world title level, AEW has been have not had short reigns. They've had long reigns. They've erred on that side. But I think now they're going to have a short reign for Rosa and switch it over to Deeb. She's the best female wrestler they've got on the books, that is, that doesn't America and doesn't go to Japan and sort of only come over sporadically. And I think she'd be the perfect champion, especially if Rosa is injured. And it will give, if Rosa is injured and they play into that, Deeb will absolutely take her leg apart and tear it to shreds, and that will give Rosa a great return if and when she does come back. When she does come back, if she's injured, she'll be able to fire up and sort of have the run that, I think we sort of predicted. She was kind of, for me, like, you've got the Hikaru Shida run, which was, light on character but strong on matches, and then the Britt Baker run, which was, I would argue, less strong on character than most people think, but I think I've just come to terms with the fact that I'm lower on Britt Baker than a lot of people are. But I thought Rosa was going to be sort of the in-between for that. Kind of has the character, can do the promos, and also can deliver in the matches. But yeah, it hasn't necessarily worked that way, and I think Deeb is the person who can do that best. So I think they should be switching it to her, and I think that's what they're going to do. And yeah, then hopefully we get a whole bunch of great Serena Deeb matches.
Yeah. I feel like it was we should keep a tally of this to see who's the most wrong. That's one thing I've learned when we do these previews.
Yeah.
Is that we'll be like so convinced of a thing, and then both of us will be so wrong. So many things. I'll take everything that Sam said, but make that a good reason why Deeb's first opponent for Rosa to defeat on a pay-per-view.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's very true. Yep. And would give Deeb just another chip on his shoulder, I guess, if Rosa was able to beat her. So yet another motivation for her to be a gnarly, gritty, and then horrible person.
She can go back and build up her stable of lasses that just want to kick ass and destroy knees.
Or
I want that.
Or go into
She doesn't just have to be... I was going to say, the BCC.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get on to the next match, Imp. We have MJF versus Wardlow. Imp, does Wardlow come out to Black Sabbath's War Pigs? And if so, how much does that cost Tony Khan?
Well, not really any more than some of the other songs he's licensed. I feel like that's relatively fine. I mean, so I found out early that Sam didn't know that Wardlow himself had tweeted out like his entrance thing to the War Pig song after Sam himself manifested it, saying how awesome it would be. So if he does come out to War Pigs, it's perfect. But he's not out of the contract until after the match, so I suspect he comes out to nothing.
Okay.
Again, like one last time.
Yep.
And yeah, just because it makes through-line character sense and story sense. Even though I want him to come out to War Pigs or just a big banger of a tune by Mikey, something. But because the story's not over, I feel like he still, this one last time, has to get the Ward chance. Just for this one last match with MJF. And this is in my own notes for my own column on this, I was just writing that this feud, for me, I haven't seen a feud hit their notes so perfectly every single week since MJF's last feud. Like, it is a running thing. Like, be it Darby Allin, be it CM Punk, be it Wardlow, like, it's a running theme now. MJF's feuds, they hit their notes so damn perfectly, like every single week, and the crowds go white hot for those beatdowns. There's something here with this MJF lad. I don't know if you've noticed that, Sam, but I think he's got.
He is like becoming the perfect TV wrestler. Like he could be the greatest wrestler ever at this rate. Like in terms of a TV wrestler, someone who can carry a program week to week and yeah, the way that he structures his feuds, the way that he lets his character sort of go through an arc in each of the feuds as well. The way that he is so comfortable with showing his ass as well, like and letting the face have that comeuppance is fantastic. Like, this has been an incredible star making vehicle for Wardlow, and they owe it. Like, they owe a good chunk of that to MJF and the work that MJF has done. You're probably right about the chants, actually, now I've thought about the kayfabe, but I just love the idea of War Pigs because they kept on calling him a pig.
Oh,
and,
yes. Yeah.
And I think the fact that he tweeted it out probably says to me that it's not going to happen, because I don't think he would have tweeted it out if it was going to be like this big new thing for him. But, like with War Pigs, it's got like this slow burn, so the Wardlow chants could go with it. And it's got a siren as well, which would just be like him coming out with the siren blaring and the crowd chanting Wardlow would be so good.
So perfect.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, look, what more is there to say about this? Like, Wardlow, like, if no matter which one of the main event people wins, whoever wins this match could go into a program with them immediately afterwards. Hangman Page actually wrote when he became the AEW champion, he wrote like a press release about what he's going to do, and one of the things he said was he's not going to have one-on-one matches with Wardlow because he already beat him and he doesn't want to face him again because he's such a big bastard. And MJF and Hangman have got they've got beef from like old country beef at this point. They haven't touched gloves for a while, but in 2019 they had a number of different programs against one another and sort of went back and forth with wins. And of course Wardlow and CM Punk and MJF and CM Punk are fresh out of a very fiery blood feud. So, and the fact that Wardlow, who, is someone who AEW has built from scratch, he'd had like 5 matches before he wrestled in AEW. Yeah. The fact that he could go into a title feud immediately after this speaks so highly for the program they've put him in and how they've slowly built him up as just this absolute monster, and how they've got the crowd behind him so well.
I don't know if he's the perfect guy for like Full Gear in terms of like blasting through a tournament type of situation. I mean, he's white hot now. It's one of those things where jump when the iron's hot. We're in that situation. But maybe even give him just a big showcase at Forbidden Door somehow, no matter who you pick. And maybe that could just keep his momentum.
Put him against...
I don't know who you choose.
Put him against Ishii or Shingo.
Yeah, they were the two that came to my head. I was like, or do you want him against a smaller dickhead?
ELP.
El Fantasma.
Yes!
Yes.
Both
of us, yes.
Can you imagine it? Oh, man.
He's just... Yeah, as in just a dickhead that he can just powerbomb again and again. Because I don't know if... Because Wardlow is so hot, you just like, well, just do it all out, just go.
Yeah,
for it.
make him champ.
Or do you want to give him? Or do you want to just give him like a run of strong opponents after this to really prove himself, and then give the title? Kind of like Hangman last year, where they heated him up throughout the summer. Of course, what kind of helped with that heat up was him going for his child, and then coming back to then get the title at Full Gear. But I feel like with Wardlow, they could purposely heat him up. Just give him those bigger opponents. Maybe even the CM Punk match. Because like a proper match after this.
Yeah.
Like a genuine thing. So many options. Like even if CM Punk wins, and then you could go straight to Punk Wardlow. There's so many options here. I say straight because Forbidden Door's like a really nice buffer where you can just spend time going to Forbidden Door, just heating up your actual feuds in the process. So, it's a dream time to do a special card like that, because nobody will care that you're telling your story slowly, because oh my god, Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah.
That's what I'm... Which I won't jump to a question that's coming up later.
Yeah.
There's just so many options to just distract the audience whilst building character for your lads. It's it's perfect.
Yeah,
timing.
who wins this? It's got to be Wardlow, doesn't it? Like, there's no way he can lose.
Wardlow. I still, the main reason I feel like I don't want Page to lose to Punk is because in my heart of hearts, I still want MJF to dethrone him. and I feel like he's the perfect guy to dethrone him.
Yeah.
And uh, that's kind of why I don't want him to lose here, because and that's a really good one as well, because MJF might need a bit of, when I say a bit of heating up, just the gap between now and All Out would be enough because it's MJF, but just kind of building like that to get MJF to be a genuine dethroner of Page, and you kind of need to be at a point where you're ready for Page to lose the title. Where I feel like we're at a point now where he's building his legacy rather than us being ready and to move on. I don't think we're at that point.
He's having like his Okada run at the moment, like his, Okada record run where this is Hangman, it is, but yeah, like with Wardlow though, it's like, what do? You can't beat him, and you can only hold him off for so long if you're going to keep letting him win and dominate, and that's clearly what the crowd want.
Oh, I've got it. Warhouse.
What a trio. Hook, Wardlow, and Danhausen. Oh my gosh.
It's like, how do you keep him hot without
Oh, I think you've paused there, Imp. I cannot. You've gone, Imp. You paused. No. You were talking about Hook. You were talking about Hook. Yeah, I can hear you now. You were talking about Hook, Danhausen, and Wardlow.
I was just
the classic three-man group.
You're trying to look for a way to keep them all nice and hot and heated. Yeah. What do you do to Wardlow to kind of keep on that heater? It's like, just Hausen. Do it. The kind of
Woodhausen.
Like he's made friends with. Yeah, like he wants a new friend, Dan Hausen, to kind of add to the group. And he just looks someone.
We did get a question on Twitter from Adrian, you dark matter to me, at Holy Tacabr, TACBR, saying, where does Wardlow go after Double or Nothing? We kind of answered that, so I think we'll get on to the next match, which is the Young Bucks versus the Hardys. Imp, I'm really cold on this. You're the positive. You're like Mr. Positive sometimes, Mr. Optimistic. Talk me into this one.
In my Nottinghamshire accent, I will explain it with, it's all right. It's all right. I'm fine with it. It's, it's perfectly, for me, it's obviously not been like built up in a sense of, oh my God, this incredible dream match. The reason being I've already seen it in Ring of Honor in ladder form. So like, this is like to be fair, like the Hardys promo for me was exactly why I'm perfectly fine with this match. They kind of they covered that promo for me was everything that why I'm liking this match. But if it was it's like a more low key, like lovely little ditty. It's like a nice little thing. It's not like a be all or end all. Oh my God, this epic dream match. Like what is going to happen to the arena when these two forces collide? It was like, well, I've seen it in a stronger form already, so I kind of know. And I don't know if part of that is why they haven't really gone so headstrong into it. It's just been like, oh, we're doing this, by the way. Isn't that nice? Like, yeah, it is nice. It is nice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel with this. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh my God, dream match. And maybe that's just because as well, like right round the corner, the other things I'm maybe expecting at Double or Nothing, and maybe I'm building myself up for failure. But what's around the corner screams such stronger dream match than this. And it's it's fine. It'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable. It'll be a really fun and entertaining match with so many little teasers and things it'll be a really entertaining match, but it won't be, oh my God, dream match kind of. It doesn't have that feel to it, because when they collided in Ring of Honor, that had that dream match feel, and they delivered. So that kind of helps with the hype, actually. Me knowing that they delivered back then, so I feel like they're just going to do that again. But it doesn't have the same feel, because for me, it's not the first time.
Yeah, this will definitely deliver in the ring, because the Young Bucks never miss on pay-per-view. Like, they have an immaculate record on pay-per-view. They are probably AEW's greatest big-time performers when it comes to, pay-per-view going on and getting in there and having a great match. And they'll work super hard for the Hardys, because obviously they love the Hardys. The Hardys are one of their big inspirations in everything they do. And like, I think that's why I'm kind of need a bit of hype. Like, I feel like there should be more stakes for this. Like, I feel like this should have generational stakes to it, because last time these two didn't meet, the Bucks didn't have such an undisputed position at the head of their generation. There was still a lot of questions like, oh, is it the Usos? Is it the New Day? And at that point, there was actually a genuine conversation to be had there about, what was the great tag team of their generation. But since then, the Bucks are just so clearly the greatest of their generation, and I feel like there should be greater generational stakes emphasized in the build-up, and it just hasn't happened. And I think it's part of, the Young Bucks just not being in one of their featured cycles. They're more often than not backup, and they're not having regular matches like they were this time last year. And that's so that other performers can get featured, but at the same time, it does mean that, like, when a match like this comes around, I feel like it isn't necessarily hitting the notes that I'd like it to hit, and hitting the fever pitch I would like it to hit, even though I think it will definitely deliver on the night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. And I'm, like, perfectly fine with Young Bucks losing as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially as it kind of feeds into the elite is not fine.
Yep.
The elite is fine. like that little side story. I feel like for that to continue as well, like, things need to start not going their way, which I guess, like, losing to FTR, a little bit of a thing there, like losing all of their big matches. They're still getting to the big matches, but then losing them, and that can kind of feed in to Kenny's eventual return in 2024, or whenever it is, whenever he's actually going to come back.
And it is feel good for the Hardys to win it as well. Like, this is Jeff's first major match on pay-per-view, and the Bucks have been so, like, the Bucks have not had any problems with losing when it comes to AEW. They did have their big tag championship run, but they have been beaten a lot, and they have no problem with doing that, and they have no problem with getting their heat back because they're wrestling geniuses. Like, my opinion of them could not be higher, even though, like, there's other wrestlers that I kind of like the style of more. I just think the Young Bucks are, fantastic at what they do. And I think they'll lovingly put the Hardys over in this match, as, sort of an act of love. And maybe Jeff will walk off into the sunset. Matt and Jeff will walk off into the sunset. But I've given up holding my breath on their retirement. I don't think...
Oh, no. Yeah. And I think when Jeff retires, he's not walking. He's more hobbling or whatever.
Don't even go there. Let's... as I said, I also think the Hardys will win. Let's go to the next match. We've got the Arena Anarchy between... the Jericho Appreciation Society and a bit of a motley crew of of Eddie Kingston, Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz, and of course John Moxley and Daniel Bryanson from the Blackpool Combat Club. I was really interested in I'm almost more interested in what happens next for this, because since they formed, the Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society is a feud I've been, like, really intensely looking forward to, because of the philosophical differences of them. They're like natural enemies. They're at a polarity. You've got, like, the Blackpool Combat Club, who take combat and violence and pro wrestling really seriously, and the Jericho Appreciation Society, who of course beat up pro wrestlers and love sports entertainment. Like, they're such natural enemies, and it kind of feels like BCC have almost come in the side door into this feud a little bit, and I kind of just want to get to the point where they're it's just these guys feuding, but at the same time, this is going to be absolutely a nuts match, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be anarchy.
Yeah.
I use the word. There's so much to like about this. This will be the Revolution, where we had the Derby Sting, just crazy, jumping all over against the Hardy family office. That's as I suddenly realised, oh God, Hardy was still a heel at the last pay-per-view. Like, it's just that. It'll be that, essentially, just that 20 minutes of pure chaos, and sometimes it's like the match to most look forward to, because it's your kind of 15-20 minutes of pure crazy fun. Like, this is not the story to take seriously. This is not the story for, like, your emotional kind of person has to make the hot tag. Like, no, this is just brawling madness. And I'm all there for it. And there's so much with the Jericho Appreciation Society, I absolutely love Daddy Magic. And Matt Menard, oh, he's so funny. Does he want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard? As my favorite thing about when he said that was just to the side. If you looked at Daniel Garcia, he then reached round and checked Jericho's nipples, which I thought was so funny. It was so subtle. I didn't see anybody tweeting about it. It was like, oh, this man, this
hilarious.
man. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy brawl of a match, and I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like this is a really, because it caught me by surprise. I was just like, what are they going to do whilst Wheeler Yuta's off in Japan? And the answer was this. It's like, oh, you're going straight to the opposing viewpoint. Oh, I love it. Not waiting around at all. I think the pop I'm most looking forward to is when William Regal does a thing. I don't know what. He'll hit somebody. Yeah. He'll stretch someone, and the crowd will go crazy. I can't wait for it. And it's like it'll be the fun brawl of the night. And these cards need that sort of thing because of the length of them.
The slide I've got up there on the screen is of Chris Jericho giving a fireball to the face of Eddie Kingston because he's a wizard. Who does the wizard fireball?
Oh no, he has to,
yes,
doesn't he?
Of course he does.
Does he? Does he accidentally fireball one of the JAS?
Oh, it's going to be one of 2.0, isn't it? Daddy Magic's getting a fireball to the face, isn't he? That's gonna be that's gonna be so fun. You picked it. That is, I absolutely. If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be disappointed now. What other spots?
It's got to be Daddy Magic.
What other spots do you want to see? I'm looking forward to Garcia versus Danielson personally. They'll having a proper wrestling match amongst all this ridiculousness.
Will Mox and Jericho make some form of reference to one of their past feuds?
Oh, they've
like maybe going for an eye or going for a plant pot or something. Something just to reference it.
Oh, Jericho's going to bring a potted plant out, isn't he?
And then Mox just drive them through Thumbtack to reference their cage match. Yeah. There's so many notes you can hit on with this. It'll just be
goodness me.
So one of the Daddy Magic has to get fireballed. There has to be some form of plant pot attack. There has to be thumbtacks. Eddie Kingston just going mental. Yep. Oh, yes. Well, actually, because most of the feud is between Kingston and Jericho, so I kind of feel like they might brawl off in their little side thing as well. So then Moxley has the pickings. Just go after somebody. There's so many awesome little variations you can do here, and it'll just be again just that feeling of the brawl of Evolution. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
And this like the Stadium Stampede would have been in or something at the other Double or Nothings. I expect something along those lines, but kind of a mix between the Revolution. I think this has got some genuine stars from the company in it, like Jericho, Mox, and Danielson. They're like A tier, S tier guys, and Eddie as well, in terms of like the pecking order in AEW. So I expect something maybe a little bit more than the Revolution brawl, but yeah, if they can hit those sorts of notes, that'd be perfectly fine. Who do you think wins?
Oh, I'm not sure if it particularly matters in this one. Because I don't feel like it's going to end. So this can just be a madness brawl, and then there's a quick finish somewhere, some way. Again, like at Revolution, where Sting just like... Oh, no, it was on the Dynamite brawl, where the Hardys were like doing jumps off balconies and things. And yeah, it was just... And Sting just gets in the ring and is like, oh, I might as well just pin the lad. Just do it like that. It's like, it's craziness. It's the flow of the match momentum, then there's a lovely little pin thing. Depends if they want to... what kind of heat they want to continue the feud with. Yeah. Like, do they go for... I mean, it can end on somebody getting fireballed. So do you do a comedic mistake, or do you do the heels just being crazy or something, or the good guys just brawling them to death like they said they would? There's many different things, especially if they continue it into a bigger match. Yeah. This is just like a enjoyable flow to that much more serious bout.
In these sorts of matches, AEW's form is to let the faces win. I'm tempted to think that the Jericho Appreciation Society Sports Entertainment's their way to a win, and that will allow it to continue. But I think what will actually happen, and partly this is possibly just what I want to happen, because I want the BCC and Eddie Kingston to win, and because of course I do, because I'm a human. And then I think the Jericho Appreciation Society will get some sort of heat back in a future Dynamite in the next couple of weeks, and then down the line at some point, probably not immediately, but at some point down the line, we may get Blood and Guts, which is what I'm hoping for, because I think the next month coming out of this is going to be dominated by other things, let's just say, foreshadowing to other questions we're going to get asked. But, maybe in like July, August, we get to Blood and Guts with these guys in it, or maybe that happens at All Out. Who knows?
Actually, yeah, because we were talking about potential opponents for Wardlow, but then I just remembered that as soon as Forbidden Door was announced, one of my predictions was to do Dragon versus Dragon in Shingo versus Danielson.
Yep.
And I'm still sticking to that.
Yep.
Still the one I want.
Yeah.
So many different options.
We're going to move on to the Owen Hart section of this. And I do have a question from Libby Cadman, friend of the podcast. She was on last week. She was part of she helped me break down Stadium Stampede last week. If you haven't listened to that episode of the podcast, please listen to that episode. It was a 2-hour episode, the longest episode we've done, but it's one of my favorite ones we've done. No offense, Imp. I've loved the ones I've done with you as well. But I loved the passion and the insight that Libby brought. So please, if you haven't listened to that podcast, listen to that one once you finish this one. She asks, that's at Libby_Cadman on Twitter. She asks, how do you feel about the Owen Cup tourney journey, the Owen Cup tourney journey leading up to and now culminating on the pay-per-view? Imp, how do you feel?
Again, it's one of those. It's the Nottinghamshire accent coming back. It's like, it's been alright.
That's kind of been AEW, right? Like,
it's
like B.
It's like as in it's. Like when I go into a WWE pay-per-view, I'm not quite feeling it. I was like, oh yeah, because it's been crap for all these different reasons. With AEW, it's like, no, it's still solid. I just don't particularly. I'm not I don't feel as invested as I kind of wanted to be. And I think part of it is the sheer amount of qualifying matches beforehand that they just went straight into the match, just no breather. I think that's part of it, and I've not really. It didn't really feel like the kind of momentum built particularly towards the finals. It just continued like the qualifiers did. It was like, oh yeah, it was a bit of a, I don't know. I feel like again on the night, both matches I expect to be solid. We don't know who Britt Baker. We don't know who they're facing. Well, we do. We know it's Adam Cole Samoa Joe. I don't know. I'm not mad if the winner gets anything. Or there's aside from just the prestige of winning, I can use that as like a character. But I feel massively invested in it.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same, Imp. You're dropping in and out a bit, Imp, but I kind of get the gist of what you're trying to say. It didn't feel. I think part of it is it doesn't feel super star-studded. It doesn't feel like this was the biggest deal ever. It didn't have people like Danielson, Mox, Eddie, Jericho. Like the real top tier of stars in AEW who aren't in championship positions at the moment weren't in it. But there has been some great matches. Like, of course, you had Dax versus Cash. You had a great match between Adam Cole and Dax. And then just on this week's Dynamite, you had Kyle O'Reilly and Samoa Joe had an absolutely awesome match. Just let me know if you can hear me or not, just because I'm not sure if you've dropped in or if you've dropped out or what's going on with your connection. You may need to close and dial in. But yeah, they've had great matches. Also on the women's side, you had a great match between Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter, which I think everyone will remember, and I think will probably show up in the definitive match guide list at some point. One of the best just pure working matches that AEW has had in terms of women's matches. in terms of, I guess, looking at the finals that we've got, of course, on the men's side, we've got Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Imp, can you hear me? Oh, excellent. Your audio is coming through. Your video's not coming through super well, but your audio's coming through. If you want to turn off your video, that may actually help the situation. Hopefully that doesn't cancel your audio out from the podcast, but...
that should have done it.
Yep, there we go. Okay, we don't have video from you anymore, but hopefully we've got audio, and at least that will save it. So, Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe in the finals. Imp, who won NXT AEW's ratings war again? Can you just remind me?
I think it might have been AEW. It might have, like, who knew that Adam Cole Samoa Joe's attack a year ago was to set up this match? Crazy.
No, I'm actually pretty hyped for that. Particularly after the match Samoa Joe had with Kyle O'Reilly, which was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's. I'm still looking forward to the match. I just don't want Adam Cole to win.
Yeah,
that's not in a. Type of things. Like, no. It's more in a character-wise. They've not really set it up to be interesting. While Samoa Joe is on a momentum rampage, really, for his kind of revival. He's going to build, and then he's in that kind of awesome place. So, going. Like, there's...
You're dropping out pretty...
The Bucks and Cole keep losing. Oh.
Imp, you're dropping in and out pretty badly. I think I might actually call you back, if that's all right. Do you mind if I do that? Just cancel. Yeah. I'll cancel this call, and I'll call you back, and we'll see how that goes. Sorry to the people listening live. My computer is being is doing what I predicted it would do. I suspected it might be a bit much putting 2 on. Imp, there we go. We've got you back. Audio seems to be going as well.
Hooray!
Yes, fantastic.
Optimistically,
we don't have you on video, but that's all right. We'll survive. We'll survive without it. You've got me on video if you're watching. So, hello. Yeah. So we're talking Adam Cole and Samoa Joe. This is another one where, of course, these guys are going to have a great match on the night. Who do you think wins it?
I'm going to stick with Samoa Joe. I think they see that Cole's not the interesting choice, just like I do. And I'll stay positive like that.
Yeah, it is possible that we get a Cole and Britt Baker win-win, and you get the two heels sort of, really getting to yuck it up together. I really don't want that to happen, so I'm going to say Joe as well. Even though, and what this is meant to represent, I think you do have a happy ending to it. You do have a face going over.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they'll do that on both matches, like both baby faces, I reckon.
Yep. Very possible. Which does bring us to our next match. Which, for those listening live, I've got a photo of Toni Storm. I was so convinced that she'd beat Britt Baker and go to the final and win the final, that I made the slide with her in it, because I made these slides a couple of days ago, before Dynamite happened, and I was so confident in her, but I was wrong. So the final is between Britt Baker and then the winner of Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander. Now, you said that you think Ruby will beat Statlander and go on to beat Britt Baker?
The placement in this, then I feel like Statlander goes out here. Although you see it so often in tournaments where they just decide the person they inserted.
Yeah.
So it is there. There's the chance. It happens all the time in wrestling.
Oh,
there. I don't know if it's going to happen again here.
we are getting some more audio issues from you, Imp. I think I might just turn off my video capture, and we will see how we go from here.
Australia's got right on internet, eh?
Yeah. I mean, you'd think it'd be better given that it's getting later and later at night, but yes, remove video capture device. There we go. Hopefully that will help things out here. I don't think you're far off. I do think there's a chance that Statlander will win it because she's someone who's been with the company for a long time and she's never really got a giant run, and she's done a lot of work with sort of improving herself and working on a character, and she's got this new character. So it could be that she is the one that finally gets it. But I think regardless, I think something happens with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter to set up either Ruby or Chris Statlander winning.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. That's what this Dynamite was. Just setting all that up. Making you think it's going to happen here, and then both me and Sam are so wrong because that was not what's happening at all. It was not to have Tony win.
Yeah, yep. Well, let's move on to the tag team titles. There's a lot of matches on this Double or Nothing. We're going to be staying up late when we're watching Double or Nothing on Sunday.
Good God.
Or in my case, on Monday. So, Jurassic Express versus Team Taz versus Swerve and Keith Lee. Imp, look, as much as I like Jurassic Express, and I don't think they've had a terrible run, I'm kind of more interested in both of the teams that they're against. Am I like wrong to feel that, or what's your thoughts?
No, it kind of feels like the opposite of Hangman Page, where I feel like with Jurassic Express, it was good to give them the reign, but I'm happy to move on now. And personally, I think Team Taz is the one. They've been like to kind of start giving Team Taz some genuine titles. I think it's the right port of call here. Go with that one. Use the other two to make them seem amazing, which won't be difficult. This should be so much fun. This match, so fast paced. Really, it's one of the. I talked about the Anarchy match being super fun, but I feel like this might be the peak of the night in terms of that kind of entertainment of a match. I'm really looking forward to this one. Just the crazy spots you can come up with. Kind of like the triple threat at Revolution as well. Just the pace of that match, and expecting the same here. And it's the perfect time for me to take the titles off Jurassic Express. And you can keep obviously pushing because you need to switch into Christian versus Jungle Boy. And with Christian calling Jungle Boy a loser, you can slowly work it. You can do it. The story is there. They just need to lose properly, hugely first.
Yeah, and I think we got a taste of what this match could be like in the. Well, I mean, it's what was meant to happen, but on Dynamite, where you had, the three smaller guys just going back and forth, in a really scintillating and fast-paced way. And then, of course, you've got the big lads. You've got, Keith Lee. And I think it's really good seeing Keith Lee and Hobbs working together. I think Keith Lee can teach Hobbs a lot in terms of the way, he carries him. Hobbs is already really great at emoting, and he's got a great sneer. But I think Keith Lee can teach Powerhouse Hobbs, a lot about wrestling like a big man. And I hope they continue to work together. And of course, Luchasaurus. What's not to love about Luchasaurus? I think we're both in the camp of loving Luchasaurus, the big dinosaur man in a mask who can do a standing moonsault. Fantastic stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. This is going to be a real back and forth, fast paced match.
Oh yeah, Luchasaurus is just my favourite wrestler to explain to non-wrestling fans. I just love it.
Yeah,
it's he dresses like a dinosaur. Oh no, he is a dinosaur.
Yeah,
he just is. Yeah, he's also got a doctorate. So
I'm also in the camp of Team Taz for the win. If nothing else, just because Ricky Starks is incredible.
Oh, yes.
He is just the way he just does small things. Like on the screen at the moment, I've got this picture of him getting put into the corner by Keith Lee, and he's just got this look of sheer terror on his face, and it's brilliant. But not
I
just
love his selling.
not just the terror and the selling, but the way that he, the arrogance that he puts forward, and like the air and the aura that he puts on. Fantastic stuff. I really hope he, and they've been featured quite a bit as well. And I hope that continues, and I look forward to seeing it. Moving on to another match that could be very fast paced, in just a minor way. The House of Black versus Death Triangle. I personally think this is going to be, this could be the hot opener potentially, or if not, it may be that pinnacle you were talking about.
So this is either going to be the hot hot opener, or it's going to be the wake the crowd back up match before the main event. I think I prefer the opener, but I can easily see this being that kind of wake the crowd back up match. It's fit. Oh, this is because when the House of Black have had their trios matches of a fast pace before, it's just been like a fast card, just like whoa,
yeah,
kind of thing. They're so in tandem with each other that it's just an awe to see. And then of course, to put them against a team like Death Triangle just elevates that to a different level.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just haven't seen that.
Because you've got Phoenix and Pac.
Oh, hell yes. For me, that's a different dynamic. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen House of Black's amazing in tandem pace paired with another team that exactly do that as well. It's like, it should be exhilarating.
Well, we did see the Eric Rowan version of Death Triangle at Revolution against House of Black, but I don't think even Eric Rowan would begrudge me saying that subbing him out for Rey Fenix is an upgrade in many ways, particularly for this style of match. I cannot wait to see Buddy Matthews and Rey Fenix get it on. We sort of got a glimpse of that. I can't wait to see Pac and Malachi Black have like some back and forth, or even like a striking exchange between Penta and Malachi Black. And, I just want to see the big lad Brody King just destroying everyone. This match is just going to be insane. It's going to be so fun. And I'm hoping that they can sort of use this for House of Black to go somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Originally, I was thinking House of Black could be the guys who beat Jurassic Express. I don't think that's going to happen now, particularly now that Buddy Murphy's happened. But man, the sooner they get a trios division and have House of Black just rule over it, or the Elite rule over it, the better. But I think that would be one way for House of Black to be featured if they decided they wanted to have a trios division. These guys would be fantastic people to have as the inaugural champs.
I feel like this could easily be like a nice little thing to then start building somebody to it. Just that, at that point.
Or TNT Championship for Malachi Black, please, or Phoenix, or Pac, or Penta. Or Brody King, or anyone in this match, except for maybe not Alex Abrahantes. But, given what the TNT Championships is doing at this point, I'd be happy to give him a chance.
Let's just try something, guys. Yeah. Let's just see what. Yeah. I totally agree. I'm ready for like these 6 guys just to be elevated to something.
Yep.
Next in line.
Yep.
And we've got the time to fill it. It's time to do it in. I'm fine with that. Just don't give me. I fear that like one of these lads will be facing like the House of Darkness or House of Torture.
Oh, pass me on House of Black versus House of Torture, please. Who are currently the Never 3-man champions at the moment?
I think it is them. I thought they won it back. I'm gonna Google this. Never 6-man.
Yeah.
Titles. There you go.
We're both at the same time.
Champions. Yeah, Mains. Here we go. Oh, no, it's another click through. Oh, you're going to beat me. No.
Who is it? Oh. Why does it say Toriano and the Briscoe brothers? That can't be right.
Yeah.
No, they were...
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it is House of Torture. Evil Show and Yujiro. Oh, no.
Yeah. I couldn't remember... Yeah, I thought it was them. So who needs AEW's trios titles when you can just use New Japan's?
Hey, look, if they win them and can just adopt them, please, like by all means.
Yeah. So there you go. You can can do the House of Torture versus AEW's Dark Class.
Oh, the
Dark-
more darkness versus darkness. Evil.
yes, lots of people.
Evil. The judgment of your house is being done by the House of Black. I can see it happening already.
The promos. Yeah, you go. It's worth it for the promos alone.
Let's move on to the TBS Championship match. We have two matches left. The TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay, the rematch. These two had a match earlier in Jade Cargill's reign that was fantastic. Very sporting build for this one in terms of like Anna Jay saying that she came real close and she thinks she can do it again. So she's, laid down the challenge again, and Jade, being a fighting champion, has said, yeah, you gave it good to me once, but I'm still going to beat you the second time, and I'm happy to prove it. What do you think of this match, Imp?
I'm dreading covering this match at like 5-6 a.m. because I can already see that the names of Jay Cargill I'm gonna find that so difficult to get correct. That's gonna be no, it's too close to Jade. I'm gonna struggle at like 5-6 a.m. It's gonna be a problem. No chance Anna wins. This is continuing to build the megastar of Jade Cargill. She is so incredibly over.
Yep.
As soon as she said, cut the shit, Tony, everyone immediately was that thing of, that is going to get so over. And it has. And then you've given her the baddies, and it's especially as the stable has started to form, that has worked so well.
Yep.
She feels like a megastar in the making. Just keep doing that. Keep doing what you're doing. It is working. Obviously, eventually she'll need a strong challenger.
Yep.
But I don't think she's at that point yet. Like, it's perfectly fine just to have challengers like a strong challenger like Anna Jay, who isn't going to win, but can give him a decent match. Like, yeah, still at that point, I don't need a strong built challenger. I don't need a Tony Storm yet. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when they start bringing in like the Hikaru Shidas or putting Riho against Jade Cargill, or
I can't. That is the match.
Yeah,
Jade Cargill wins.
No, you know what?
That's
you know what the match is. This is if Deeb doesn't win the AEW Championship against Rosa, having her go in against Jade. After Jade's become, like, at some point Jade's going to turn face, having Deeb come in and just rip Jade's knees and legs to absolute buggery, that's the challenger for me, I think.
Oh, that's a shout. That is a shout. Keep doing this until Jade is so over they're just baby faces.
Yep. But yeah, the Riho match, I mean, that's a perfect dichotomy as well, isn't it? JR can talk about how Riho's all over again. No, but in all respects, that would be fantastic. The way Riho fires up, and lays into it. The series she had with Nyla Rose proves how good a series against Jade Cargill could be. So, yeah, but you're right. No chance Anna Jay wins. None. And I think these guys will get like a good 5 minutes. Like, they don't need long. Just a hard hitting bit of fire from Anna Jay, and Jade Cargill continues on her merry way. And that brings us to the final match. Hookhausen versus Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. Now, Imp, you are a lover of comedy. I have no doubt that this is your most anticipated match on the card.
Yes, the notes.
I know you too well.
As a little insider, after watching what Daisuke Taguchi versus Hiromu Takahashi, and he was getting his butt out, and he's building up this silly story of there's going to be no silly butt stuff in this match, and he immediately charges with his butt.
Yep.
He misses. It's just like Sam immediately messaging me going, I think you'll love this match. I am a fan of comedy in wrestling. It's it still has to be funny. I can't dislike or care less about the 24/7 title. Like, it does absolutely nothing for me, and that's somebody who loves comedy wrestling. That's maybe why I hate it even more, because it's not funny.
Not good.
It's the main thing. Yeah, it's not good comedy. Whilst for me, it's too slapstick, to be fair. It's not my kind of cup of tea. Whilst Danhausen is an amazing kind of comedy. I love it. For me, one of my favorite things is how in the duo he thinks his powers are working, but they're just scared of Hook. Oh, it's so good. The guy I can't see. And then he just oh, it's so. And there's an amazing for me to show it as well. There's an amazing video from I think this week's Dynamite or from last night where there was a kid who was like in the foyer or whatever, and he was just cursing people dressed up as Danhausen.
That's awesome.
It was always like, oh, it's amazing. Yes, like just like with kids dressing up as Orange Cassidy, kids dressing up as Danhausen and doing the curse.
Yep.
It's like, oh yes.
Yep.
I need to see that camera cut in the crowd. Yeah, this will be so much fun.
Yeah,
just
Hook and Tony Nese are gonna have some some great interactions. Danhausen is going to be hilarious, and ultimately Hook is going to absolutely pulverize Smart Mark Sterling. It's going to be a great pre-show match.
Oh yeah, for me this is the exact kind of thing you have on a pre-show.
Yep.
Like not your bloody tag team champions, cough cough.
Yeah.
But like here, where you got a silly little tag match that would be pure entertainment fun. If you don't like that kind of wrestling, it's on the pre-show.
Yep.
Like it's fine.
Yep.
It's perfectly fine. I love this stuff.
Yep.
You got the really strong wrestler and then the complete useless person
Yep.
on both teams. I love it.
I'm curious as to what it's going to be like when Danhausen actually does wrestle, because I haven't seen any of his stuff, to be honest, and I've heard that he does have some fun in the ring, so I'm looking forward to finally seeing that.
Yeah, he should have a little bit of fun, like a bit of hoodwinking with Mark Sterling.
Yeah.
Just a crazy cape.
Yep.
That's essentially what we're going to get here.
Well, let's. That's all of the previews. We do have a couple of questions that were sent in that we'll finish things off with. So, Rambo and Slampig said, he asked, "How do you think another?" Actually, sorry, who's going to win this for you, Imp? Hookhausen for me.
Yep, same
Yep,
here, same
yep.
here, and it's going to be Mark Sterling.
You'd be mad to think anything else. I think. I don't think the people that I put a bet on for the main event are taking money for this one. But if they were, I would be putting money towards that too.
Yeah.
Gamble responsibly, people. So, question by Rambo and Slam Pig: how do you think having another pay-per-view in a month will affect booking of the show? This will be a unique situation for AEW.
Yeah, for me, because of the nature of it, you're not going to see titles defended, and so it doesn't really matter. Really,
Of course, referencing
As
the
I was
Forbidden
saying,
Door pay-per-view that's happening at the end of June.
Years. So I think they can just use the next like month or so just to do subtle character building, but whilst also just making the crowd pop at seeing the New Japan names show up.
Yep.
I think that's how you do it. You don't need to do anything like that big, because you can set things up to happen after Forbidden Door, but you don't need to pull the trigger on anything. It's almost like a perfect period after a pay-per-view to just point fully at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
And just let other things simmer.
And AEW, I mean, Forbidden Door is a different kettle of fish to this, but AEW has traditionally had Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen very shortly after Double or Nothing. So it's not unheard of for them to have major feuds going on heading out of this pay-per-view. I do think like one of the things that happens in this show is I think we're going to get some potential surprises show up on it, as was already done in the on Dynamite, where we saw Great Khan and Jeff Cobb showing up from the United Empire from New Japan, and I think we might get some more of that. But I don't think it affects how the results in Double or Nothing pan out. I didn't factor Forbidden Door into any of my thoughts about the results for Double or Nothing.
Oh yeah, same here. It's a special show.
Yeah.
In a way, it's not a normal pay-per-view thing. It's not like having Payback or whatever it was immediately after SummerSlam, and you get a week to build to another pay-per-view. It's not like that. It's more we're doing a special kind of show,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have any effect on the actual universe of of AEW. So I think it's kind of fine.
This sort of leads us to a next question from Wobius at Latimer Tobias. And I know I've skipped a question. We'll come back to that, Imp. But do you think there will be a surprise debut on the show?
Oh, so...
Say it with me, Imp. 1, 2, 3. Yes!
Yes, yeah. So I was thinking maybe no. I wasn't sure when I was thinking about it earlier this week. But then I watched Dynamite, and we're recording this on. No, we're recording this. We're live.
Yep.
On the day we watched it here on this day on this Thursday, and so we've come into this having just watched it, and the answer is well now we do because bloody Jeff Cobb and Las Vegas O'Khan over here. I just like my God, and I don't know if I've just seen that maybe Great O'Khan might have deleted some of those posts. So it's like, if you've not seen, they have been screenshotted as Jeff. he had a lovely time.
Oh, he had a very fun time.
But yeah, so when Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan just ran down during the tag match, like very rarely do I do an out loud reaction whilst I'm watching wrestling. I am the worst person to have in a crowd in that kind of sense. And so out loud, I was just like, what? They just sprinted down the ramp. Suddenly, that just soars my expectations. Also, knowing that Will Ospreay was there out with Great O'Khan in Vegas is like, oh, okay.
He's there.
As in, he's in Vegas.
He's there.
Yeah. Yep. He's not just in America. No. He's there. He's ready to go. So I'm under no illusion that there won't be something.
Yep.
I'm not as sure about the Japanese talent.
Yep.
Like, what helps is that it's the best of the
Super
Juniors.
That's what I was going to say. All of the heavyweights are free at the moment, just about, because it's best of the Super Juniors in Japan. So I reckon we get either Okada, Jay White, or Ospreay after the main event, facing down with the winner of the main event. And I saw a fantastic suggestion. I think it was from Adam Cleary from What Culture, where you have the winner is whoever wins out of Punk and Hangman. There's, music going off, fireworks, confetti starts to come down, and it's all gold. And they look at it's not confetti. They pick it up, they look at it, and the thing comes in, and it's actually a golden buck. And then coin drop, Okada's theme hits, and the place goes absolutely mental. And I thought that would be brilliant. That would be absolutely brilliant if that happened. I think you get Okada, Jay White, or Ospreay, maybe Tanahashi, maybe Naito, but definitely one of those three. Particularly given that Jay White's already been part of AEW a couple of times. Ospreay, of course, we know he's there, and Okada is the man. So if they wanted to make some waves, you chuck the Rainmaker out there.
I think because I was a bit worried about what this card would actually be, given because I was kind of basing it initially off of the Noah New Japan special card from earlier this year, which was entirely tag matches. There was no dream singles matches on there, not a single one.
Yep.
It's like a charity show rather than a dream card one-on-one scenario.
Yep.
They haven't really said what the Forbidden Door will be.
Yeah.
But the wrestlers themselves have been saying who they want to face these and that. Like Ospreay as well. It's from both AEW and New Japan side. I've been talking about the kind of opponents they want, and I kind of feel like the fans will just be let down if it's not the dream match version of a show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, do you do champion versus champion in that scenario? Like,
that's a good question. I love that fantasy booking, but now you're talking about it, and now I'm thinking it through more logically. I probably would walk that back. I don't think we get Okada versus I don't think we get champion versus champion. You get it between that and someone who can take a loss. So Will Ospreay, I mean, his whole thing right now is he's getting screwed. So, he could get screwed by AEW, maybe. Like, he could say, an AEW ref screwed me over. Or, maybe you put Shingo Takagi versus Adam Page is a hell of a match. He's
so many for Page.
He's a former former champion, but, he's on the downswing a little bit. So that's something you could do. I'm not the first person to have suggested that. Dragon versus Dragon, as you said. I reckon we get one or two big singles matches. I think we will get tag matches, of course. But I think we do get one or two singles matches. I hope. I really hope, and I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
do, because they're making this a special pay-per-view, and they won't want it to be a letdown, given that they're hopefully going to be. Well, they've already said they want to sell future pay-per-views based on this partnership.
Yeah, and that's kind of feel like we will get dream matches. I don't know if it'll be champion versus champion kind
Yeah.
of dream matches, but there will be some on there.
Yeah.
And Will Ospreay tweeting about wanting to specifically wrestle a homegrown AEW star. It's like they're dropping hints.
Ospreay
The wrestlers themselves.
Ospreay versus who did I say at the start are the two like informed wrestlers at the moment? Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. I feel like our DMs over the next few weeks,
Yeah.
just gonna be go. Whoa.
Yeah. Let's get on to the next question. What is one match? This is from Dan Coffin at Coffin_Dan. What is one match you would remove from this card, and what match would you book in its place?
Ooh, Deirdre. I had an answer. I guess weirdly, I felt like the TBS Championship because of the way it was built. You can have that main event, a TV show, and it'd be fine. That's my main thinking. But also, you're building up Jade. You want her to be on pay-per-view, so that's more important than the actual building match itself, really. That long-term idea. If I scroll up, actually, I guess
It's hard.
Oh, it's not. It is hard because everyone's kind of got a little bit of a thing. It would only work for the Owen stuff if they had special shows, really, like for that week. As in, if the tournament was like over the next couple of weeks something, it's going to be entirely taking over the show type of situation. But aside from that, I don't really think there is anything.
For me, I would remove, because I'm going to say like this is a tough one because it is an awesome looking card. For me, if I was going to remove one match, it would be the tag championship match and I would replace it with an FTR match because I think FTR are the form tag team at the moment, and they weren't on the Revolution pay-per-view, and you know I think it's disappointing. It looks like they're going to be getting a Forbidden Door match that's being set up, so hopefully we see that, and hopefully they get some sort of high profile match there for probably the Ring of Honor Championships, I'm going to guess. But if I had to pick one, it would be that, and I'd replace it with an FTR match. It's tough on Jurassic Express because they're the AEW champions, and it's tough on Keith Lee and Team Taz, who I like, and Swerve, but FTR at the moment are the gun tag team in the world, and so I'd put them on it.
Yeah, just to see how long this card is, and both of us just went, oh, actually, no, everything's got its place.
Yeah.
Reason to be there.
Yep. So moving along to the final question from Adrian Udark Matter to me at Holy TACBR. Thoughts on TK booking 3 women's matches in one pay-per-view?
Well, we're slowly getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we've been saying that for so long with all the critique. It's like there are signs of improvement, and we're still in that gear.
Yep.
Like there are massive signs of improvement, and this is the next one.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting there.
Look, if you compare, say, All Out 2020, where you had like a last minute thrown together match between Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa, and the god awful dentist match, whatever it was called, and then if you can, and then Full Gear that year where you had like a last minute thrown together Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose match, the division has improved. It's still a bit way to go, but they're working on it, and they do deserve some credit for that. They deserve some scorn for how long it's taking them and how there are backward steps as well as forward steps, but it's getting there, and this is a good thing. There's three women's matches in one pay-per-view. That is not nothing. And none of them, as we said, none of them are matches we would cut. You've got a championship feud that is, we're both excited for, and I think lots of people are excited for. You've got the female Owen, which, while I think a lot of people were really excited for Toni Storm, including me, you've got her and Britt Baker's involved in that championship match, and Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter are sort of wrapped up in that as well as Ruby and Chris Statlander, and then you've got the TBS championship, which is held centered around Jade Cargill, who's an absolute superstar. That's great. We wouldn't have that's 3 really strong women's matches that they've managed to build to for this pay-per-view, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, little changes, and of course they're building a megastar in the process whilst this is happening as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Like the future feels very bright.
Absolutely. Well, look, that's all of the questions. That's all of the matches that we have time for. Imp, did you have any final thoughts on this pay-per-view, on the things we've talked about?
I mean, we've gone into detail on pretty much everything. I kind of feel like, as we've talked about it might be the title match that's the most predictable. It's the most unpredictable, in all of AEW's pay-per-views with Punk Page, and that's just,
Yep.
that's just great to see.
Yep.
And if there's so many foods for thought, especially with Forbidden Door around the corner, I feel like I'm not setting myself up for disappointment if there's no coin drop at the end. However, it screams. That's kind of the thing to do.
Yep.
Just get them go crazy.
Yep. I mean, that would just be a huge pop if they did that. And yeah,